There are a lot of fellas that listen to this podcast, and I'd love from the woman's perspective just describe what love really is, you know, and also someone that studies this as well. Like if you give us like a definition, then kind of talk around, I think it'd be good.
Sure. When we talk about it, I guess at the purest point, we have touched on it being selfless service.
Yeah.
But if we're going to bring this a bit more tangible and bring it home and understand how we can bring it into our current or future relationship, having love for someone else, as we know, starts with communication. And this is super simple, right? Mm-hmm. Logical, but not always easy to implement. Yeah. Let's be real in that regards. But being able to say what you want to say when the time is right and knowing how to say it. Because let's just say, you know, she comes home from work, if you're in a relationship with a woman, and, you know, she's had a massive day and you've had a massive day too, and you just want to tell her all about it or whatever it is. That's one the other way around, I know. But if we pounce on each other straight away, we're not giving the other space to just take a moment, kind of almost like let go of that outside role, whatever it's been, and then get into the role of lover or mother or companion or whatever. Sometimes just having respect for each other's boundaries as individuals helps set up a better opportunity for intimacy in the relationship. And this sounds a bit weird, but to be honest, from a woman's perspective, and I say this personally and professionally, women are kind of like cold water. You know, you pour them into the kettle, you turn the kettle on, you give it time to warm up. Guys are like fire, most, right? Let's say in the average age range. They're on like that. So we have to understand the duality. Duality. And we talk about this in Tantra, of the masculine feminine essence. And no matter if you're in a homosexual relationship or not, there's still masculine feminine at play. We have both duality within ourselves. Yeah. And that dynamic very much so in a relationship. So we have to work with that. You can't expect your beloved to be like you, just like women can't expect men to know what they want. They have to learn to lovingly and kindly ask or express or share. And men also need to learn to understand that women aren't programmed like them. That what might feel great for them, or that they just want to dive into, let's say, genital touch. Most women don't want that unless they are already turned on. And I'm going to be really candid here, even if a woman appears to be turned on physically, that does not mean that she's turned on emotionally and mentally. For a woman to be fully feeling like she is loved in an intimate, romantic, or if you want to term it, sexual setting, she needs to be turned on those three levels. For most women, they don't even realize that's an option, and they just kind of give in and go, yeah, I'm turned on enough, he wants it, we'll just go for it. And that could be nice, and she can have an orgasm, and that's fine. And it just stays kiddie paddle pool, as opposed to like deep dive. And I'm not saying you need to last 10 hours. This isn't about, you know, tantric lovemaking, whatever the Western terms that as being. It's about actually connecting with her. So we're going to bring in love in this because it's going to be selfless. It's not going to be like what I can get. I feel like I'm talking to you like this.
No,
Give the poor guy a lecture.
It's good. I'm learning heaps. Yeah.
It's not about.
Not to say that I'm.
Take this back to your beloved.
Yes, definitely.
It's not about what you get. It's not about your pleasure. It's actually about her or your partner. Let's say from the man's perspective though, right? And he's with a woman in this scenario. So what does she need? What does she want? How can I give her what she wants? Because here's the key that most men don't realize. When a woman can receive in that space all that she needs, she opens, she unfurls, however you want to term it. I'm using pretty flowery speak here, I know. In a way that then she can't help but kind of overflow and pour that into you. And we're talking about, in a tantric sense here, there is an exchange of energy. And we speak about when it comes to bringing true tantric principles into lovemaking, because they don't have to involve sex at all. There's a misconception there. Nice. But if we have an exchange, it's the woman's heart gives to the man's heart, and then the man's heart to his genitals, and his genitals to her genitals. And so we have this flow. Oh, nice. Right? But it normally just stays with genitals. We're lucky if any heart comes involved, let alone mind, connection, let alone actually get to a state of intimacy and oneness. You know, and for those that aren't like watching this, I'm thinking of like, you know, genitals and the base of your palm, heart is in when your palms are flat together, and then when your mind's involved, when there's a connection, a real spark, it's like prayer hands. And then we clasp them together when you have that real unity, that oneness, when all of you is merging in every way it can. That's a closer experience of Tantra. That doesn't have to be sexual, but it can be, right? But backtracking a little bit to like love in relationships, you have to understand who that person is before you. Yeah. That person as, yes, a woman, let's say, but also as a soul. Maybe sometimes she has a really hard job. Maybe sometimes she's a mother. Maybe sometimes she's a lover. She can't just turn on lover mode because you're ready. So what does she need to soften, to slow down, to feel loved, seen, cherished, and heard? Yeah. Right? And you probably start with like being heard, seen, cherished, and then she's going to feel loved. But if you don't listen to her, you know, and I'm not saying if she's abusing you that you need to listen to this.
There we go.
We're back.
We're back. Yes.
It's not as if you stand there and tolerate any abuse. Not talking about that, but just hear what she needs to say. She might have to express something, and guys find it really hard. They find it uncomfortable sometimes because it might not be about you. She just has to say what the frig's going on, you know. And you're like, oh my god, whoa, too much. Gonna watch the beer with the footy and more beer.
Yeah. Watch the beer, drink the footy.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Exactly. Because it's been 5 years and I've lost what beer? Sorry.
Exactly.
To understand what she needs. To understand her, because this isn't just about you.
Yeah.
This is why I wear this Russian wedding ring as well, for those watching. It's like 3 rings in one. And to me, it reminds us that there is you, there is them, and there's the relationship.
Nice.
You want her to be in this relationship, you want her to be sexy and turned on and give you a striptease or anything like that, then invest in her. Just as she has to invest in you, and then we have to invest in the relationship. So this is why I said about the time. Give people time to be themselves. Nurture them as well. Listen. Help each other, guide each other, nurture each other, support each other, and then do all that in the relationship. If you're not putting time and effort into the relationship, if you're not having like date nights, sometimes even scheduling lovemaking, which sounds very unromantic, but sometimes it's necessary. If you're not making it non-negotiable, phones away, children are in bed if you have them, whatever the scenario is, make it all about her tonight, all about you next Friday, whatever. You're not going to be investing in the relationship.
Yeah.
And it can look different. Sometimes it's date night going out to a show or a band or a mini break, you know, but you have to invest in that. That is also love, because we're working towards a state of intimacy, working towards a state of feeling seen and heard and held and cherished. And ultimately, women, the foundation, the bedrock of a lot of this stuff is feeling safe. Safe that they can trust you enough to show you who they really are, and safe enough that if anything goes wrong, you're going to be able to be here and help sort it out. That you're not going to leave them. There's the abandonment stuff too. And for some women, that can go back to their fathers, or it can go back to previous relationships, or it could just be this innate thing within them that they can't quite put their finger on why, but there's fear of that. It really goes through, you know, humanity in a sense. Because women often don't feel like they can do it as easily on their own. And I don't mean to be sexist, and I'm not saying this is for everyone, but some women, deep down, they would love to have that man to help them. Just deep down, most men, if we're talking heterosexual, would love to have that woman to help them.
Yeah,
that
for
feminine
sure.
touch. To sometimes if it's making beautiful food, or do whatever she does to make the space just incredible. It's different to if it was just the boys' club.
For sure. The way I describe it is that it allows me to get out of this and into this. Like so much of this, which I would say is kind of masculinity or whatever it is, whatever you want to say. Maybe it's just me, but like thinking and problem solving and want to do my mission purpose, and then I find jiu-jitsu and do this, and then I'm like, oh, you know, just having that femininity approach is just like, oh, cool. Like there's other things in life. Chill.
We call that in esoteric psychology the concrete mind. And it can be masculine if you term it, but men and women have it too. I have it as well, especially if you're quite analytical, you want to get stuff done, you're quite logical, whether it's a business mind, mathematical, scientific, or whatever. And if we're functioning there all the time and it's separated from heart, then we are going to have a disconnect. The idea that we talked about with those 3 vehicles, your physical, your emotional, your mental, they're in alignment, they're in harmony. So just like we have to nourish the 3 parts of our relationship, our beloved, ourselves, and the relationship, we've got to do that work. That ourselves bit is nourishing our physical, emotional, and mental. And sometimes we do that on our own, sometimes we help someone else, sometimes we do it together.
Yep.
Right? But there are those components that have to have a healthy balance.
Yes.
And the heart doesn't just have to be feminine as such. It can be extremely powerful. I mean, how powerful would it be if we actually all were selflessly giving of ourselves around the world? You know, you wouldn't necessarily even term that masculine or feminine, but there is a gentleness to it. And that's why we have to also be gentle normally with women too. Now, I'm not saying there aren't women out there who just want to be thrown down and had, and it's just that's the best, that's all they want, and then they don't even need to know your name. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Oh, very well played.
Oh, 5 points.
Yeah.
But deep down, when we work through perhaps those issues or layers that make us want those lower nature desires, those primal instincts, if we actually get to a place of heart, we all do want to intimately connect with heart. We want to be loved. We want to be seen and held and cherished. We want people to like be able to like pull us apart and know that that precious part of us is safe and it's going to be looked after. You know, we all want that, even if we don't know it yet, and even if we aren't there yet, we want that.
Yes.
So how do we work towards that? that's what we got to really answer. How do we get towards that part? And to be honest, it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And you got to want to do it. Do you really want to get to know the person who you're in a relationship with? Do you actually really want to love them for who they are? Knowing that they're like a diamond, just like you are, multifaceted, darkness and light, beautiful shiny points, rougher points. That is them in all their glory. We have to embrace that too. Knowing that, some of those rough points might, in time be polished up because they do work and you do work and we polish up together, right? But it's not easy. It's not done overnight. Relationships take work.
Yeah.
But we have to understand if we don't put work in, it's not going to happen in and of itself.
Yeah, and I think even what you said before about how, like, for men wanting to, be more, you don't have to say spiritually involved, but just want to have a better connection with their girlfriend or whatever it is, like you said, homosexual relationships as well. You said, they do need to take time and you do need to actually just bring it down and, they need to be seen and all these things. I think these run true for males as well. 100%. I know for me that I definitely feel more connected with Siobhan when I feel like I've just given the time to just, because I think the way I try to work through things is very much through just, saying all different sorts of things. I'm like, thank you so much for listening to that. That made probably no sense to you, but just cheers for just like having that space for me. Like, I think that's like a male and a female thing,
It
Mm.
is, definitely. It just often starts if we're wanting the end game to be better sex or we want more intimacy, then men have to know they have to do that work first.
For sure.
But deep down, like I said, we all want the same thing. We all want to be seen and heard and loved and cherished.
Yeah.
But if the man isn't going to be bringing that to the table, normally to start with a woman, let's say she is more closed up and she isn't probably as sexual or adventurous or doesn't want to be seen naked. There's all those kind of things that sometimes women struggle with. Men too. Often it's women.
Yeah.
But to make her feel safe in the first place, to heat the room, to put on some candles, to have made her dinner or to give her a foot massage just because in front of the television before you even go to bed. Maybe you end up having a shower together. The key is, honestly, when we get back to that kettle and the water, as the woman, foreplay, let's say, starts at the beginning of the day. It starts with a snuggle in the bed before you both bound out of bed with your alarms, or it starts with making her warm lemon water. It's a nice one for breakfast. Start your day with warm lemon water.
Yes.
It's a little text or a little email, a little just because phone call, coming home with, a single flower that you didn't pick from the next door neighbour's garden, maybe you bought it, whatever it is, and doing little things because you're slowly warming her up and she's feeling safe and seen, even if you're not in the same room and presence physically together. All this is warming up, so that by the time, the end of the night comes and you've done dinner and bits and bobs or put the kids to bed or whatever it is you need to do, she's feeling much more unfurled, softer, receptive for that advance or for that connection. That's different as well. Whereas guys, as I said, turned on most of the time, at any time relatively easily, especially if there's just straight up genital touch and then we're on.
For sure, yeah.
Most women want a different connection. They want to be seen and heard first. Guys don't necessarily need that first. They need it in general, but in an intimate relationship, they might not need it first.
That makes sense.
And then to not just straight up go for breasts or genitals, but to actually go, for neck kisses or shoulder massage or her inner thigh, or understand that women have many different erogenous zones or erogenous, however you want to pronounce it. But men love going for the standard tactile places because they just know it works, but it might not
for
work.
us. I mean, they're great places.
But they are great places and women love it.
Yeah.
But to warm her up to get to that place makes that even more erotic, turned on, sexy, juicy, however you want to term it, and will make the rest of the play, the rest of the experience, the rest of the love deeper as well.
Definitely.
So there's a few things, I suppose, to that.